No, I'm not going to eat this too much. I just want to make sure I'm recording. All right. Paul.
Yes.
Give me your definition of a false start as you walk in.
An illegal, non-planned, non-football move by the offense which simulates the beginning of a play.
Yep.
Okay. Now I'll stay now.
So any movement by one or more players that simulates the start of a play. All right. So what do we mean by that? Lineman coming out of their stance, lineman falling out of their stance. A running back that does a jerky movement and then doesn't go in motion. Really, you know, we want to see those guys. If a lineman or if a back, someone's gonna go, we don't want to see them simulate. We don't want to see the jump, and then I'm gonna realize I made a mistake and go. No, that's false start. He simulated snap. Anything that causes that defense to react that the offense does could potentially be counted as a false start. So, by rule, the snapper moving to another position. By that, I mean someone that's come over, he's addressed the ball. By meaning addressed the ball, he's gone below his knees. He's now established himself as a snapper. He cannot move back out of that position and go into another position. And those we usually see on, you know, a trick play scenario, whether it be a swinging gate, shifting into something different. Restricted lineman moving his hand or making any quick movement. That says exception when threatened. So I put on there, don't get picky. What I mean by this is if it's just you'll hear some officials say a flinch is a flinch is a flinch. We want to call it a false start. But my thought on it is we're there to manage the game. What advantage was gained by a light hand movement? Did the defense react? If the defense reacts, obviously it created some type of simulation of the snap, right? So a light movement, we may or may not want to call that a false start. We want to see the reaction that we get from it. But a big, abrupt, jerky movement, we want to get that. And I'll be the first to tell you, I'm good for every third game. I'm grabbing that guy farting for a false start. It happens.
Really hard to see on film.
Really hard to see on film.
You can smell it on
You
film.
can smell it on there. He had something to get out of his way, but I'm always bad about that. So, and what it says, exception when threatened. What we mean by that is we talked about offside last week, right? When that defense enters the neutral zone, if the offense then reacts, that means he was threatened, right? And then we got a defense offside number whatever enter the neutral zone, causing the offense to react. That's how that announcement would come before you then put it on the defense, right? Offensive player making a quick jerky movement. Here's one we see a lot. The offensive team never coming to a 1 second stop prior to the snap after the ball is ready for play. And a lot of times we see this from a standpoint of one, either someone's getting the play late and they're jogging out, right, and they still haven't gotten into position, and the quarterback snaps the ball. Well, not all 11 players got set. Or sometimes we see that late sub come running in, and he's literally running in motion as they're snapping the ball. That's still not all 11 players being set. Or on the case of we got a little muddle huddle over the sideline with the coach after a timeout, and they all just run out. We made the ball ready to play, and not everybody got set. And a lot of times it's in those hurry-up situations. So just be ready for that. When we're working 7th, 8th grade JV ball, like be lenient on that type of stuff. You know, coach them up, make sure they get it right. At the end of the day, no advantage gained. There's no need in us slowing a game down and throwing our flag if there's no true advantage gained. You get working on a Friday night, we're working varsity, we want to see those picked up, right? We want to make sure we're legal on those plays. All right, we talked about some of these last week, and we'll keep going through them. Forward pass play is the interval between the snap and when the legal forward pass is complete, incomplete, or intercepted. So we talked about that. When he took that drop back, we're now have a forward pass play. Now ball's released. It's still a forward pass play until it's possessed, and then it becomes a run, right? Whether it's possessed and completed by the offense or the defense. Free kick play is the interval of time the ball is legally kicked until it comes into player possession or is declared dead by rule. So when that ball off the tee, there's no clock coming off until it's possessed or touched, right? No time coming off the game clock while the ball is flying through the air. So why is that important? Well, we may look at a foul that happens during that period and say it was during the kick or it was during the run. So we need to know those categories as to how to enforce it. Certain fouls have penalty enforcement stated in the penalty caption of the foul of it can only be enforced from the previous spot. Otherwise, it's or at the subsequent dead ball spot belonging to Team B. Otherwise, it's declined by rule, right? And guys, y'all ask questions as we go along so that we can make this interactive. So, scrimmage kick play is an interval between snap and a scrimmage kick comes into player possession where the ball is declared dead by rule. One of the changes to this rule this season, and Blake, correct me if I'm wrong in how I'm stating this, but now a scrimmage kick play is actually defined as interval between the snap and when the ball comes into player possession and they begin that run. So because we have the foul of if you go out of bounds during the scrimmage kick and it's not in Team B possession yet for a run, it's a foul no matter what if that guy enters back in. But if he goes out of bounds after we have player possession,
He can join back.
he can join back in, right? We'll see that on some test questions. Okay. Running, play, and run. Live ball action other than that during a free kick, scrimmage kick play, or illegal forward pass play. So like we talked about last week, we can have multiple runs, right? Again, why is it important? Because when we have a foul, we needed to be able to relate it to which run it was, because that tells us where we're enforcing it from. Right. The ball carrier loses possession. The spot where the run ends is where the ball carrier loses possession. The running play includes the run and the loose ball action before a player gains or regains possession of the ball. So just like we said last week, we're always keeping that spot. That's why we carry that beanbag to show, one, we had a fumble, we have a loose ball, but it's also marking the spot where if there's a foul in that exchange, where we potentially are coming back to. And again, new running play begins when a player gains or regains possession. So we can have as many running plays as it takes until the ball is declared dead. All right, out of bounds. All right, so let's go through some scenarios. We'll go ahead and put both of these up there so y'all can see them. We'll go through some scenarios. A player is out of bounds when any part of his body touches anything other than another player or game official on or outside a boundary. An out of bounds player who becomes airborne remains out of bounds until he touches the ground in bounds without simultaneously being out of bounds. So I like to think of it as that, and I'm not a basketball official, but that whole, you're in the back court and the front court, right? If once he goes in the back, he's still there until he completely crosses over, right? So, and you're a basketball guy, right? I may have said that completely wrong, but that's how I remember it from playing. Well, from playing it.
Backward until all parts are.
But again, so let's say play example. We have a pass play. My receiver, 85, is pushed out of bounds, and he leaps from out of bounds, catches the ball, lands in bounds, and has firm control of the ball. What do we have? Incomplete. Why?
Because he didn't establish it.
Didn't establish back in. Okay. Now that same scenario, but now he steps in bounds, he regains possession, and then catches the ball. What do we have? Now we have catch.
Yeah.
He was forced out. He comes back in, established himself. He's now an inbounds player. That's the ball. Change that scenario to he was not forced out. He goes out of bounds on his own. He jumps from out of bounds, catches the ball, lands in bounds. We still have an incomplete pass, right? Now instead he goes out of bounds on his own, steps back in bounds, catches the ball, complete firm control. What do we have? Say it again.
Illegal touching.
Yeah, we have illegal touching, which what does illegal touching ultimately result in? Ultimately, it gets treated like an incomplete pass. It's a loss of down foul. We're going back to the previous spot. However, why do we make sure we put our hat down and put the flag down? Because there could be other fouls on the play because it could offset with something else. We might cancel out that loss of down penalty. An inbounds player is a player who's not out of bounds. Simple, right? But once you're inbounds until you're out of bounds, it's pretty obvious. An inbounds player who becomes airborne remains in bounds until he is out of bounds, right? So similar scenario, A88's running downfield. He leaps from inbounds, catches the pass, lands on the sideline.
As I was reading, I have a question, as I was reading stuff about players going up and could have come down and being tackled out of bounds. I mean, is there a distance that you're like, because I mean, every one of you could grab a player and run 20 yards and throw them out of bounds.
And if they're good enough to do it, then that's a great defensive play. That's yeah, seriously. If there is no force out rule
Right.
in NCAA rules. Yeah, if a defender is strong enough to catch a guy when he goes airborne who's possessing the ball and carry him and put his first possession from being airborne, put his first contact with the ground back down out of bounds, it's just incomplete pass.
So then I go with momentum.
No, that does not go with momentum.
Or progress because it's not catch yet.
Yeah, he hasn't established a catch yet, right? And we're going to get into catches down the road, but he's got to have possession inbounds before we establish a catch. Same scenario, catches the ball near the sideline, gets 1 foot down, then steps out of bounds. Maintains control, catch, right? Catches the ball near the sideline, puts a toe down, inbounds, his heel comes down out of bounds. This is a special scenario. It's going to be an incomplete pass. The toe heel, we're going to consider that as his foot being out of bounds, even though the toe touched first. Right? Am I saying that right, Blake? It's catch. Yeah. You got a body part down inbounds, right? Yeah. And as long as he maintains control all the way to the ground, he's good. Or doesn't that come into the game? So yeah, so think of it as here's the sideline, toe heel. So toe hits first inbounds and then down, he's out of bounds. It's that full foot. If it goes the other way where they tap toe and then forward, it's in a catch. Yeah.
It's all about the same body part.
Yeah, and remember, in high school and in college football, we only need one body part down inbounds, right? But you know, keep on wanting to use this. I need to put that up. All right, we talked about this. Kicking the ball is intentionally striking the ball with a knee, lower leg, or foot, right? A legal kick is a punt, drop kick, or place kick made according to the rules by the player or teammate before a change of possession. Kicking the ball in any other manner is illegal, and that's when we have illegally kicking the ball. A free kick or scrimmage kick continues to be a kick until it's caught or recovered by a player or becomes dead. Why is that important? You know, we talked about this, what the status of the ball. We talked about that. So we have a kick that bounces off the guy's chest and then goes into and out of the back of the end zone. Scrimmage kick. What do we have? Was he ever in possession of the field of play? No, we just have a touchback, right? So we need to actually see possession of it. Now we can have touching and it can go back over to the other team, but we can't advance those.
Well, and one of the most important things that will come along with that as we progress through these rules is post-scrimmage kick enforcement. Determining whether it was within the kick or after the kick.
Yeah. When in question, the ball is accidentally touched rather than kicked. And a punt is a kick by a player who drops the ball and kicks it before it strikes the ground. Pretty simple. If that ball hits the ground and then he kicks it, we have illegally kicking the ball. Right? We can't have a drop kick on a punt play. Of course, a drop kick is a kick by a player who drops the ball and kicks it as it touches the ground. Has anybody ever seen this live? No, I've never seen it.
Australian rules football.
Australian rules football? Yeah.
Live on TV, not like.
I think Doug Flutie did it, right? Yeah. That's the only time I've ever seen it. It's on longest yard too? Okay. Because that's good. That's super accurate. Super accurate. It used to be done a lot, right? Yeah. All right, a place kick is a field goal. Place kick is a kick by a player of the team in possession while the ball is controlled on the ground by a teammate. UIL exception. Can it be put on top of anything? Yes, it can be elevated up to an inch, right? So we're going to allow those guys to use a tee. They don't have to use that tee, that flat tee. They can kick it off the ground. A lot of your 6A guys will that are pretty good, we'll still kick it off the ground. Free kick. Place kick is a kick by a player of the team in possession while the ball is positioned on a tee or the ground. It may be controlled by a teammate. The ball may be positioned on the ground and contacting the tee. So it doesn't matter. The tee is the device that elevates the ball. Simple, guys. All right, free kick. A kick by a player of the team in possession made under the restrictions specified in rules 416, 611, 612. After a safety, maybe a punt, drop kick, or place kick. So a kickoff after score is always going to be either off a tee, touching a tee, or no tee on the field at all, and it can be on the ground. If you bring a tee out, the ball has to touch the tee. It's a random rule, but the ball has to touch the tee. Kickoff is a free kick that starts each half following a try or field goal. Scrimmage kick, we've gone over this. It is a legal kick if it is made by team A in or behind the neutral zone during the scrimmage down before the team possession changes. Remember, we talked about that last week. He can go across, he can come back as long as he's behind the neutral zone when he kicks it. All right, down in series. So what is a down? It's a unit of the game that starts after the ball is ready for play with a legal snap or legal free kick and ends when the ball becomes dead. So on average, how many downs are there? There's 4, right? That's a dumb question.
Well, sometimes there's 5.
So and we have mistakes. But how do we get a new set of downs, right? We meet the line to gain, right? Exception, the try is a scrimmage down that begins with the ball is made ready for play. So between downs, the interval during which the ball is dead. These are easy. A series is up to 4 consecutive downs that each begins with a snap. So at the end of the series, we don't have a first down. It's a turnover on downs, right? And we give the ball back to the defense. So a lot of these guys are simple, but they're in the definitions. We want to make sure we understand them.
The reason that they're in the definitions a lot of the times, and we don't think about it too much, is if you don't understand the status of the ball, if you don't understand the status of a down, later when we get into the rules, that will dig into what was the status of the ball to enforce the foul, right? What penalty? It's based on the status of the ball. It's why we've gone through this for a couple of weeks, because it's really, really critical that we get these down, right? Sounds mundane, we don't think about it, but as we get into the deeper into the season, we're going to revert back to all of these things that we talked about.
Right. So always knowing what that status is. If you're on the call yesterday, we talked about result of play. Always knowing what that result of play is, because ultimately there's always the option just to take the result of the play, right? We don't have to enforce a possible foul on it. We could just end up going with the result of the play. Loss of down by definition doesn't mean we're just taking away third down. They don't ever get to have third down again, you know? Kind of like, you know, the scratch golfers when they're playing those competitions. I get to pull your driver out. You don't get to use it anymore. Well, we're not going to let them have second downs anymore. It means the loss of the right to replay the down. So what are some scenarios that might include loss of down?
Grounding, potential grounding.
There's some grounding. Good.
Illegal forward pass.
Legal forward pass. Yeah, so there's a lot of different fouls that include a loss of down. What, if we have a loss of down foul, what can we not have? You commented on it last week, so. We won't have an extension of time, right, in a quarter or a half, right? If we have a loss of down, we're not going to extend the period, right? What's our signal for loss of down? 2 hands. Do the Macarena, right? All right, so here's a quick test question. B44 intercepts a forward pass beyond the neutral zone, meaning it's across the line script, right? Just before he is tackled, he tries to throw a backwards pass to B22, but the pass is thrown forward and completed. So what do we have?
As soon as he touched it on the forward pass, that ball dead.
Yeah, so we had a forward pass. Team B can never throw a forward pass, right? So we're going to have a illegal forward pass by Team B. So after the interception, legal forward pass, intercepting team number 44. What is that? A 5-yard penalty from the spot of the foul includes loss of down. And when we get ready, is it going to be 1st and 15 then? Well, what's it going to be? What's our next down going to be? It's going to be 1st and 10, right? Because we can't start a new series at more than 1st and 10, right? Right. The ball, what to start more than 1st and 10, what would we have had to have first?
Foul on the first down play.
Or ball has to be made ready.
Ball has to be made ready for play. So both answers are correct, but ball has to have been made ready for play. So if we would have had a foul, or excuse me, a ball put down, blown in by the referee, and then we had some action, whether it's a false start on sportsmanlike, whatever else, then we could potentially start out with 1st and 15, 1st and 25, whatever it might be.
Under 5 yards from where you threw it.
Right, spot foul. Yep.
And you'd be dead immediately.
No, we let that play out. We're gonna let that play out. It's not dead immediately. He can catch it, he can run with it, because he may.
Fumble and eight to get it back.
Yeah, because that's ultimately a foul that A might decline if they intercepted that pass. If he possessed it, moved forward down the field, fumbled it. Good point. A could potentially repossess that ball. What'd you say?
We were just counting.
Oh,
He was passing me a little bit.
and here's a good point, and kind of what we talked about. We're not gonna, because it's a loss of down foul by rule, we're not gonna start at 2nd and 10. They still have that right for 1st down, right? All right, live ball fouls. So what are some examples of live ball fouls? Fouls that do not occur until you have a snap. Holding's a live ball foul. Legal forward pass is a live ball foul. Anything that doesn't immediately stop the action is going to be considered a live ball foul, right? And it says there, teams can correct before the snap, right? What does that mean? Well, maybe we had 6 guys in the backfield when they first came set for a second. Well, they can shift and get set correctly. We're not gonna throw our flag just because they have more than 4. We're gonna wait till that snap happens. That's considered a live ball foul, right?
Or our video from last week where the guy came and lined up at wide receiver over the line of scrimmage and then tried to back up and the guy threw the flag.
Yeah, let that guy try and get set before that snap happens. So good job, guys. Live ball fouls by Team B. It's simple. It's defensive offside. We're letting those keep going. Pretty much all fouls by Team B are gonna be live ball unless it's a defense offsides unabated, or it's a defense offsides that creates contact, or one that we have a reaction to. So. That's still going to be a live ball foul. Yeah. So the good point. Yeah. I was saying the only time we're going to have a dead ball foul is when it creates the offense to react, or we're shutting it down front unabated, right? Yeah. Because it might be a 50-yard field goal for the win. We're not going to stop that play, right? You know, we want to, and this is a new rule this year, so we're still mechanically discussing how we're going to handle it, right? So we're going to want to make sure we preventive officiate, right? We don't want to throw our flag. We're going to be telling that guy to separate from those center shoulders so he's not lined up over it. Tell these guys ahead of time and not allow these fouls to happen, right? If we do our job, we should never have to throw that foul in the first place. All right, dead ball fouls. Fouls that a team cannot correct. So throw flag into the air, blow the whistle to get the play shut down, and avoid further problems by reacting quickly. So what do we mean by that? So what are some, we talked about, what are some examples of dead ball fouls that are going to cause it to kill the clock right away? False start. We'll put that list up here. But what are some other ones? False start. Delay a game. Yeah.
Offside with contact by the defense.
So contact by the defense, yeah. All good examples. What about late hit on the quarterback? Is that a dead ball foul? That's still considered dead ball, right? Unsportsmanlike conduct after the play. Dead ball. What about a live ball treated as a dead ball? What kind of situations might that be? Any ideas on that? And we may have that coming up here in a minute. But what's a live ball treated as a dead ball? What type of situation would that be? And by that, I mean, it happened in live play. We continue to let the play go, but we're going to enforce it and a dead ball.
Who said that's a dead ball foul? That's during the play.
No, that's going to be enforced after play, so it's live ball. Live ball treated as a dead ball is going to be a situation like we're running down the field and we run into a coach. We're not going to kill that play. That's a foul on the play. We're not going to have that. It's going to be a live ball foul that we're going to treat in the dead ball at the succeeding spot, right? Guys, we did a good job. I think we nailed most of all of these. So, are you wanting to go over
Yeah, let
timing
me do
next?
that
You
real
wanna do
quick.
it?
I'll do that and then we'll let you jump in there for the next one. Yeah. I wanna hit real quick. So everybody got to see the video on Arbiter, right? Everybody got in there, they watched it, they looked at it, and they got the idea of how to get in there, right? So, I mean, you've all been in there anyways, did some, just kind of looking around. I think talking to Rudy, you had to go in there, sign in, that type of thing, right? So all I really want to do is I want to take it just a little bit, dig deep, a little deeper into it, because I'm not going to cover everything that they did in the video. That's the reason that they put it up there. But there was a couple of things that I wanted you to have in your tool bag so that when we are allowed to request games, you'll know how to. And as soon as we get word and everything, we'll get.
You want to
we'll
log
get
into Arbiter and put it up there or not?
Yeah.
You want to? I can't remember the password.
Oh, okay.
So if you want to log in, you can, and I'll put it up there so everybody can see what we're clicking through. Do you remember yours?
Yeah, I think so. Yours isn't there?
No, it's not there.
You changed it?
I changed it. I don't know what I changed it to. It works on my phone. Any questions over the stuff we just went over, guys? I might bring this up.
I hope this is right. I got a couple.
You only get 5 tries.
I'll go look on my password sheet if I can.
I can always log in for you.
It's not working. Uh-oh.
You bring your readers?
No, go ahead.
At third time be the charm, right?
Yeah, it locked me out. I got it. I can go look at my password, but I don't need to.
What do we use Arbiter for? Mike's gonna go over this. We use it for where we're getting our games at, right? We're gonna see our games in there. If I need to figure out what his phone number is, I can go in there and find your phone number. There's a list section that I can type anybody's last name in it, and it'll bring it up for me. I get your phone number, your address, your social security. I get a lot of information about you. That way, I can call you if we have a game. I can call you and say when we're meeting at. I can put blocks in there, so we'll talk about that. Go ahead.
Yeah. So we have to, so every game we work, we have to go in and request the game on the
Yeah,
master sheet.
I'm getting ready to show you that there. So
All right, well, let me put this up here for you. You're gonna have to kind of look behind you, but
yeah, that's fine. I gotta look behind me.
yeah, because I don't have it right here. If you want to talk, I can do it.
Minimize this. Should be there, no?
No, because I have it as a dual screen. I don't have it as the same.
Okay.
So does this assign to prove that,
Here, I'll click on the stuff. You talk through it, I'll
Okay.
click on it.
So just a couple of things that when you look at this here, okay, I'm going to encourage y'all to go do the CFO. Tassel's got a special price. With that CFO, you do get everything that all the college officials get. So you get all the videos, you get all the training, and it's a bunch of good things. You get to take all those tests and look at that. So I'm going to encourage you to go up there, do that on Tassel's website. But what I want to look through today is we're going to use San Antonio football here and get into it. And what I want to go is over here to schedule. So the question, yes, this is what you do. Every single game that you are going to request, okay, comes from Arbiter. And I want to do a couple things. So like I said, I'm not going to go through all the filters, all your blocks. That was all covered in that video, right? But what wasn't covered is how do you request a game? What is it that you need to do to ask for the game, right? So there's a couple of things that I want to show you. Go to lists first. Let me show you something else real quick, okay? And then over there, the officers, right? So under here, down here, there are your auxiliary, you got your assigners, right? Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, okay, and assigners. Okay, so know that those are who you have to request those games from, okay? Don't go and ask for a game on Thursday and ask Steve to give you that game. He's going to say, sorry, that's not for me. You know, you need to get to Tom or Joe, right?
Yeah,
And another thing is, if you need to get to that, just click on it and it gives you their email and their phone number, right? So everything's right there for you for the request. Now, I will say that most of the games that you're going to look at are Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Your Friday games, or if you have some JV games, they're going to be there. But don't request timers and don't request chain crews. Okay, if we have any of that, those will be assigned. All right. Hopefully, what we're gonna work on this year, and who's doing what's his name?
Curtis Johnson is
Huh?
now on that team with,
Curtis's?
Yeah.
Oh, really? That changed too, huh?
well, yeah, he was with me last year.
Okay. Curtis and who's the other guy?
David
David?
Laredo.
David Laredo. So once we get word of what's going on this season, they're going to get together and they're going to come and find you and try to assign you a mentor, okay? And the goal there is to get you with somebody that's going to work with you, that'll take you to their games, their varsity games, that you can work with them as a timer. But they're going to do all that requesting part, okay? And hopefully then they will take you with them on a sub-varsity game or two as well, right? To work with you.
Hey, here we go. See how easy it is? Sorry, I was showing stuff while you were talking.
Oh, okay. So that's where you'll find the assigners. Okay. Now, how do you look for a game? You go back over to the schedule and go to your master schedule. And then what I would do is I would go over to your dates and click a date. We're gonna pick.
It's popping up on this other screen, but basically gives you a calendar and you just click the date. So let's pick a random Thursday in October.
Yeah.
All right. So go ahead.
You coming up?
Yep. All right. Go first.
Yeah. Okay, so what this did is up here at the top, there's your filters, okay? So a couple of things. If you would like to choose a specific site or specific level, you can filter it like that, but I'm trying to give you the big overall picture here. So what I want to we'll just go ahead and pick this 7th grade A football game right here, okay? Starts at 4:30, says the height is in Hondo, and they're going to be playing Pearsall, okay? You say, yeah, that's what I want, and you send that game over to Joe, or you send it over to Tom, and all of a sudden you'll sign into it and you've got 2, 3, or 4 games. And you go, hey, wait a minute, I didn't ask for all those games. But here's what I want, why I want to dig a little deeper in this for you. So this game is going to be at Hondo Stadium, Hondo High School Stadium at 4:30 on the 8th, right? So now you go up to the site and pull down Hondo. The one at the top?
Yeah.
Scroll down. See, you got 4 games. Okay. Now here's why I'm saying this and why I'm getting at this. Okay, is because when you select a game, okay, you are not selecting a game, is you're selecting the site. All right. So you get all of those games on that site for that day. And you can see there's 4 men, right? It's got 4 positions in there, which is great. So you get to work, everything but a back judge in that game. You get to work once each position. You get to be the R, the U, the H, and the L, right? And if you work with me, you get to be R 4 times. So now what you do is you will take you've got these game numbers over here. You can say, I want Hondo Stadium on the 28th, you know, and you send that off to Joe and Tom, okay? And they'll come in and you'll get all of those games. You can put the game numbers in there. You can select them all, okay? I typically do because it's going to tell me how many games, right? So I'll say the 4 games at Hondo Stadium, right? And if you get it in, you'll get those games. Now, one thing that we have done here the last couple of years is that for the new members, we give them a little bit better pecking order than we do some of the other officials, right? So that we make sure you get games, okay? Thursdays are always big and heavy for us, so we need a lot of guys, so there's plenty of them there. But we want to be sure that you get games. It's not guaranteed, okay? But we want to get you in there. We also want to be sure that your mentor lets you work a couple of games, so you'll get to get with them and say, hey, you know, let's figure out what games I'm going to work with you so I can get these other games in there.
So one tidbit I'll give you guys, if you hit that view slots, which is right there, I just click when you're on that main date page. Not always a perfect indicator, but usually pretty good. If you see there's 4 officials in that game, likely it's 3 or more games, right? If you only see 3, it's 1 or 2 games there, right? We're gonna send, when we have multiple games on a night, the heavier games, 3, 4 game sites, we're gonna try and send 4 officials to those games. We don't want you out there killing yourself going 3-man for 4 if you can help it, right? We're gonna give you that opportunity to work more positions, to have more guys out there, just because it makes it easier on all of us. Now, when we have a 1 game site, there's no need in the school paying for 4 guys all the time. Sometimes they request it and they do want the 4 guys. Those are unique games. But on a lot of our sub-varsity stuff, they're going to only want 3 for a 1 game site or a 2 game site. So, make sense?
Is it better to go ahead like you do, just take those games off the work?
If you take one, you got to take all.
If you take one, you take them all.
Yeah.
There's no ifs, ands, or buts. Now, that's one way to get games. All right? That's one way to get a game. That way you get to kind of pick and choose where you're going, okay? When I pick and choose, I pick mine way outside the city, okay, that start about 6:30, and it's usually 1 game, okay? That's about all my niece can take a night. I do it for that reason, right? I used to do these 4 and 5 games, okay? You want to do that, go to, I don't know if we still do Gonzales or Cuero, but I used to do that a lot.
Gonzales High School playing Giddings High School.
There you go.
Hondo does it.
Yeah. Hondo does it, yeah.
We just figured that out.
So the other way, and one of the easiest ways to do it, and the assigners love it, okay, is you send Joe and Thomas and say, hey, look, on Thursdays, I work in this area, okay? I'm in zip code 78201, right? And you can send me anywhere within 10 miles or 20 miles of my work from that area, all right? So then that makes their job easier because now all I got to do is I got to find those schools in there. It's really simple for them. It's nice and easy on a map. And then they know where to put you for those sites and for those games, all right? Keep this in mind. 95% of the games in San Antonio on Thursday start at 4:30, okay? So my work knows that on Thursday I might have to leave a little early to go to a ball game. That's me. I'm able to, when I interview, okay, I go in and I tell them, okay, yeah, we got all the job stuff. Oh, by the way, football season, I might have to leave a little early on a couple of days, Thursday or Friday, right? If I got to go up to Llano, I got to leave at 2:30, 3 o'clock to get up there, you know, but it's okay because it's all part of the community, right? But just be upfront with them. Don't try to hide it, you know. Hey, if I got to work 2 or 3 hours, you know, during the week to make up that 2 or 3 hours, then that's what I got to do, but I haven't had an issue.
That's how I interviewed my wife.
Well, now, the answer would be that we would have already done it had we known what the season was going to be, okay? We have not got the word yet. Now, you have seen some of Rudy's emails, right? Is anybody not getting emails from Arbiter, from Rudy, talking about the scrimmages, right? Everybody should be getting Arbiter. If you've been in Arbiter, you should be getting emails. If not, check your email. It's incorrect. I only had one. Eric's not here. Eric?
Also check your spam. Sometimes your arbiter, until you accept it, will go to your spam. So depending on what your email server is. So once you're assigned a game, we'll click on one of these real quick. Once you're assigned a game, it'll pop up like Blake's is here. So he's got his high school and his college schedule here, but we'll just look at one of the high school games right now. But once you're assigned a game, you'll click on that game note right there, and it'll tell you who's been assigned to it. So why is this important? Where is the, oh, here it is, right here. If I know I'm either working a Friday night game, I'm working a Thursday or whatever day, I've got all these guys' phone numbers, I've got all their emails right here. One click of a button and it'll pop up on my email server if I want to email all these guys and say, hey guys, I'm planning on getting there early, or hey guys, can I ride with somebody? You know, be proactive in that. Don't wait till Thursday at 4 when the game's at 4:30 to call somebody. Figure that out the week of or a couple days before. Because when we start going on those long road trips, half the fun is getting, and I don't know how it's going to work this year with all of this COVID stuff, but half the fun is getting to ride along with these guys and getting to talk about the game before and after and get guys' input on what you did well, what you did. The camaraderie is my favorite thing about this whole deal. And I think that's what buys guys in, is when they get this opportunity to kind of bond with other guys. So,
well, 2 points. COVID is the least of my worries when riding with you guys. Secondly, Arbiter has a great mobile app for both Android and Apple. And whenever you pull up your schedule, like you have it here on the dashboard for desktop, it will actually give you an option to text all of the people in your game as well. So you can just click it and it'll literally just make a group text, and you can say, hey guys, where are we meeting, or what time are y'all getting there, or just whatever. But the mobile app is nice for that, because you can literally hit one button and it group text everybody in there, and you can just say, hey, what time are we meeting, or, you know, whatever you guys want to organize.
yeah. The other thing, both on the mobile and on the desktop to look at is right here where it says site. So I can click this button and tell me, all right, my game site's at 1 Greyhound Lane. So we get a lot of, you know, these sub-varsity games that are at small middle schools or small fields that you may. I've only lived in San Antonio for 3 years. I can't tell you the difference between Madison, Churchill, and any of these schools. I can't tell you the difference in any of them or where they're at. I just know that whenever I get a game, I have to figure out where I'm driving to, right? That's why I use this. And some of them will have special directions, like go to the North Gate. That's where they're going to let you in at, right? Or if there's a locker room, it might say go to this area. So, and then try not to use any of these phone numbers.
Do not.
Talk to
Not
another.
try not. Do not.
Yeah, you talk to another official before you
Do not
use any of these.
contact schools.
Yeah.
Okay, we have a process in place that if for some reason you need to contact the school for whatever reason, then you come to me. Okay, and we'll start that process, but under no circumstances are you to contact the coaches, the ADs, secretaries. It's there for information, but there's no need ever for you to contact them unless you're specifically told to do so.
And in the unique situation where a coach contacts you, forward that to Mike and let him take care of that. And unless it was as simple as the accounting
Good job,
department,
guys.
the accounting department is asking, you know, for you to send over your 1099 or something.
Yeah, something like that. If they
Otherwise,
contact you,
if a coach
I
contacts
haven't,
you, Send it to Mike to take care of it.
no, you're not part of the class. You can stay, you can be quiet, or you can go. Those are your options. Okay, thank you.
All right, what's next?
So what I wanted to be sure is to make sure that you have the opportunity that don't leave it up to the R or somebody else in the crew to make contact. If you do that, I've had feedback, okay, that nobody contacted me. And you ended up being out there all by yourself. Okay, now whose fault is that? Nobody contacted you, but did you contact anybody, right? So it goes both ways, okay? Don't put yourself in a situation where you get left out there by yourself, one or two guys, because what can happen when you make that contact, one of the guys are going to say, oh man, I can't make that. Well, let's get a hold of Tom or Joe and let's get somebody to replace you, right? So you help remind him of that, and you save yourself a little bit of extra work by getting that contact out there, right? So don't always necessarily, and do it by Tuesday. If you work with me, I got an email out, like these guys were saying, to everybody after our meeting on Monday. Tuesday, you got contact from me. If I don't hear from you by Wednesday, I'm on the phone trying to figure it out. If I don't hear from you later on, I'm going to call Tom and Joe and get you replaced. Okay? Because I don't want to be out there by myself.
Go here next block.
Now they did the blocks on that. The list is all of the other ones. The other item you saw on that one, go back to the just exit out of that and go back to the schedule. I just want to show that. So you'll see up here on the right. Don't be too concerned about what position you're assigned when you get the game. Okay, if you're the R, U, H, doesn't matter. Okay, when you get to the game, you get with the crew and figure out where you're going to work. All right. Just because you have that listing up there doesn't mean you have to work that position. We encourage you to work them all simply because it helps you grow, helps you learn. You understand other positions as well. It's great for you to learn. But anyways, if you are assigned the R, there'll be a green R up there the day of the game, or the day before. Green first. Yeah. So if for some reason you get that, if you don't remember this, call, ask, and I'll tell you. But you click on that, and it's going to be a big form. Who showed up, score, all this stuff, right? Don't put anything in there, okay? Unless there was a serious problem. You don't need to put the score. You don't need to, check that, all the officials showed up. You just click everything's good, and it sends it on. The reason I say that is because if you put the score in there, or you start checking things, then all of a sudden, David's secretary, Rudy, gets a bunch of emails about all these games, and he's got to go through every single one and start looking at them, and there's nothing wrong, right? So you just click good, everything's okay, and it'll turn green, and you're done, right? And if you don't, then it'll turn red, and it's going to start asking you, hey, what's going on with the game? Now, if somebody didn't show, report that, okay? We kind of take that personal, okay? Especially if I've called them, and they said, yep, I'll be there, and they don't show, wife better have died, okay? Something, right? And I haven't had that happen, thank God, that somebody hadn't after I contacted them, right? But it has happened when I didn't contact and I didn't have somebody show. So anyways, I just wanted to point that out there too.
All right, we're good on this?
Yeah.
All right, the only other thing we want to look at, and you probably got it in the arbiter training, is we have our rules book, we have UIL exceptions, we have all this information, our pay sheets, everything else.
We'll talk about pay sheets and doing the pay sheets and the game day paperwork the week we have our first game, okay? I don't want to go over it too early because a lot of this stuff because I don't know when that's going to be. But it'll be that week. Do we have on the bottom of there, do we have any of the, on the bottom of that page, is there any, no. Okay. Go back up to the top under ref locker. So I think you answered this earlier. You can start looking at getting your uniforms. I don't see the one on here. Go to our chapter website, and we use the local the local junk, okay, to get our uniforms and stuff. They do have a starter package, and in your mechanics manuals, it gives you the summer uniform, okay? And everything is in that starter package except shoes. You don't have long pants either, right? It's your summer uniform. You got your shirt, your tassel label on it. You don't have to have the placards on the back. I don't think it has socks either. So shoes and socks. But, huh? Did you? Okay. So they're like about $130, I think, something like that for the package. 108. There you go. For a starter package, that's not bad.
So go work 4 games in Hondo. You paid for everything.
There you go. You got it, right? One day you got paid for it. And keep all your receipts for all that stuff, because as you go through, all of this is all, keep your taxes information right. As independent contractors, you go ahead and do your taxes and fill all that out and write all that stuff off too, right? And then you do it just for fun. But use ump junk. I wouldn't jump into getting a pair of long pants, but you know what? It's not a bad idea. You don't know if you're going to get a varsity game, chain crew, something like that toward the end of the season, something, and you'd rather have it ahead of time. But I don't think it's, and also if it's cold outside, right? If for some reason that you're in there in November, December, and you're working outside, even though it's a JV game, and you work with me, I got long pants and long sleeves. So, everybody's got to wear the same uniform. Okay, you're not going to be out there in shorts, and I'm going to be out there in long pants. And you got to get your long pants.
Mike wears long sleeves if it's below 80 degrees.
70. Huh? What? Oh, underneath? Yes. Yeah. Yeah, black underneath there. Just a little. I use that Under Armour stuff underneath there. Yeah. Yes, sir.
So the only way we're working is if we email the assignments.
Yes.
So I'm not gonna get like a text saying you have scheduled games, you have to go accept them.
Unless you are going to have to go and accept them. Okay. I don't know if we talked about that, but when you get that text or that email, it'll say, please accept by this date. Okay. So then you do have to go into Arbiter and click accept every game, right? And then submit.
Even if we email them saying like, I'm always available Thursday, we still have to go accept them once they put it past.
Right. We've asked them to do that for the specific reason. Now, that doesn't mean that they won't. If they call you up Thursday afternoon and say, hey, look, I need you to go to a game, can you do it? They'll put you in and accept it for you. Okay. But to your point, you can go in and, like I was saying earlier, I mean, this area, assign me anywhere within a 10, 20 mile radius, whatever. Okay. Then they'll send them to you, right? But you still need to go in and accept them.
Yeah, I was thinking like more to your second point, they're giving me a call and then go and accept them.
That's usually that'll happen. You'll see emails that go out on any Wednesday, Thursday, hey guys, I've got openings. I need somebody to go work, and they'll give you a list of games. Okay. And I wait a lot of times. I let a lot of guys take games, and I don't take a game out in the country. I don't mind driving a little bit to go to games, and I enjoy that. Like Austin was saying, it's part of the camaraderie of getting with the guys who are going out there. But on a Thursday, you email him back, text him, whatever, Tom, I'll take that game, boom, you're in, and he'll accept it for you. Or you tell him, go ahead and put me in, accept it for me.
They'll always contact you first before they do that.
They will, absolutely. Yeah, they're not supposed to just assign you a game and accept it. That we've had issues with that before. You have to make contact and say yes or no. That's why I like text and emails, and sometimes rather than phone calls, because when I text you or email you and you reply, now I've got your reply. Okay. If I call you on the phone, yeah, and I show up, well, you didn't say anything, or you forgot, or I get all these excuses. I didn't know all that, and I don't play those games, right? It's more of a respect thing than anything, right? Let's scratch
Just a
this.
quick clarification on that though. So if you don't want any game, you won't work in. You have to request them. Unless they're short, and if you're not blocked, they'll give you a game. That happened to me last year, because I work a lot. But it was one Thursday, I had something at school, and I didn't put a block on there, and Joe saw that I was unassigned. So he put me in, I'm like, Joe, they do, you didn't block it. So just be careful, especially on Wednesdays, are really busy now too. A lot of the schools move games from Saturday to Wednesday. So Wednesday statistically almost has as many games as Thursday now if you look in Arbiter. So if you don't want a game, make sure you block that date. Otherwise, they will find you and use you.
That's a great point. And on the blocking, okay, on blocking games, that was in that video, okay? So if you need a refresher on that, the reason we put that in there because we used to do a lot of this early in July. And so we wanted to take some of the time away from it. So we put those other videos online. And so we can dig more into the rules and get more into the meat of what we're trying to teach y'all. Okay?
We have 2 Thursday assigners, so we have to email either one.
I typically do, but it doesn't, you can do either one. They communicate well. But when I do, I put them both in there just so they both have it, right? If they both put me in there, there's going to be a conflict they're going to have, but they communicate well.
How far up would you send us? I mean, I saw something like 207 miles.
Some of those games are, so you have to know what your limit is. So if you do have a limit on how far you can go, that is one of the blocks. I'm not willing to go, more than 100 miles. Okay.
That was a unique situation. That's
Oh, 200. Yeah.
that's a official like Corpus Christi that wants to call San Antonio speed drives out for Friday night.
I was gonna say, they might have seen my
Yeah.
college schedule. One was like 800 something miles.
Yeah. We do. I do. I mean, like I said, Cotulla, Rock Springs, I'll go out there and call one game just because it's football and they need people out there just as much as the kids inside. So I'll go do that. I love getting outside the city. That's.
Do you trouble getting to your car after the game?
No, I have not. No, really. They'll have an area for you. But when you get out in the country, one thing I love about that, honestly, is that you may have seen it on Friday Night Lights. When you go into a town out in the country like that, the city kind of shuts down. They're all at the game. All right. And, they support their kids because they not only have football players, they got the band and cheerleaders and, so everybody's in there and they all got kids and grandkids and they're all supporting their kids, and to me, that's what it's truly about, right? It's all about the kids, right? And their education. That's the only reason I do this. Okay. It ain't for money, right? That's a bonus. But the only time I've ever had an issue with the crowd after a game, it was a rivalry game, and I was new. Okay, it was only a couple of years in. I was down at Pearsall, and quarterback was doing good. He did get the ball in there and tuck it, and then he'd run around the end, or he'd give it to him. One of those hide the ball kind of plays. We were down toward the goal line. Pearsall was driving, and the umpire, he was probably my age then, right? And he come in, he gathers something. He says, guys, he says, this guy hides that ball pretty good. He says, hold your whistles, okay? Don't do anything that's going to get us in trouble, okay? It's going to be tough, right? Just be aware of what's going on. Got it. I'm standing on the sideline. Same play. Quarterback takes the ball, puts it in, and I see the whole thing. I saw everything that was going on. He pulled that ball out, and he started running around the end, and the umpire, because that guy, he went in there, he went into the line, he thought he had a dead ball, and the quarterback was running around the end zone, untouched, into the end zone. So,
bad, man.
inadvertent whistle, right? So, all we got to do is we got to replay it down, right? Third down, right? They're down at 1, right? 3 yards to go. So they get in there, they get the first down, right? They get 4 more downs. They didn't get in. They lost the game. Okay? So it does. And we had to walk across. That's the only time I'd ever been escorted out. I mean, we had cops take us all the way in, but the parents were lined up. And then they took us front and back as our cars, and they took us out. So
I've had to escort officials mostly for basketball, baseball, hardly ever football because it's not an intimate setting.
Right.
But a couple of football we had to go walking up.
I mean, I get fans. I had a mom out of Poteet once, and she walked over to the officer, and the officer says, as we were walking off the field, the officer says, "This lady has a complaint." And I said, "Oh, don't do complaints. Go talk to that man." And I pointed to the head coach and just kept on walking. You know, I don't take complaints. This isn't a complaint department, you know. You got a problem with what's going on, go talk to your administrators. I'm done, right? So anyway, don't mean to ramble here, but we need to get on here. Okay? Any more questions on that?
Most of the time, fans and coaches and players are always, they're happy.
They're happy that you're there. Yeah.
There's a unique situation. You're all going to have stories at some point about when some mama came out of the stands and chased you on the field. It only happens 2 or 3 times in your year, and it's fine.
A week, no.
How much you're working.
Just kidding. Most people are very appreciative of the service that we provide. And sometimes they might not feel like it when coaches are chewing on you, but at the end of the day, they're happy that we're there because that's the reason they get to play the game. They can't play the game without us. So just remember that when you're out there, the coach is yelling. Yes, he's doing his job. We're doing our job. Trying not to take it personally, right?
Well, the other thing I think about with coaches is that they're so invested in what they're doing that they're likely not in their right state of mind most of the time. So just be patient, and it'll all work out. What, coaches? Well, yeah, but guess what? I don't talk to them. All right, guys. So we're gonna go over timing, series of downs, line to gain, all those things. Who knows what the most important signal is as far as timing goes?
Get it rolling.
This one. This is the most important one, all right?
And I want to collect clarification about this is not the timing certification. Okay, this is rules in timing. Okay, just clarify.
All right, we're going to go through this pretty fast because a lot of you guys have watched a football game before, but we do need to clarify a few things. First and third period, we're going to have a kickoff. Second and fourth, the ball will be relocated at the spot corresponding to where it ended. So we talked about position, right, last week, 1 through 5. So if you end up on position 4 at the 30-yard line, you're going to flip the field and put it at position 4, or actually 2, on the corresponding 30-yard line on the opposite side of the field. So we're just going to literally flip it over in reverse and go catty corner to where we were. So that's important. So just remember when you go to flip chains that's what you'll be doing. Of course, possession of the ball, down, all those things are going to stay the same. Extra period, there's no extra period in sub-varsity games. So, hey, I'm sorry, Johnny. It's 13-13. We got to go home. We're out of here, right? Varsity games, we're going to follow NCAA rules. So length of period is an interesting one, right? So 7th grade, around here is typically 7th grade, 7 minutes a period. 8th grade, 8 minutes a period. Freshman, 9. JVs typically 10. Some places you go, they'll be different. However, if you go somewhere and they're trying to play extra minutes, which you will get from some teams, you need to report that and you should be paid accordingly. So if you're trying to do a sub-varsity game in which they're trying to do more than 10-minute periods, which some will do, you need to just make sure you report that, and that shows in your documentation of the game, because they should pay you for more minutes. But most people will do, like I said, 7 for 7, 8 for 8, 9 for 9, 10 for JV and above. So extension of periods, we went over this the other day. So what we went over it the other day, we were talking about specifically if there's a foul on a play, what's going to not allow the period to be extended? It's right up there. So loss of down foul, right? That's one of the most important ones. But, you know, penalty except for a live ball, or as Mike also pointed out earlier, an inadvertent whistle, right? So, and that's going to cause us to replay the down. Just hope you don't ever have one of those. Everybody will have one eventually, but just try to prolong that as long as you can.
One thing to remember, an acronym is PATIO. Stands for penalty accepted, try, inadvertent whistle, or or offsetting the foul. Any of those reasons are reasons to extend the period, right? How do you?
All right, so we're going to go over some things that cause the 40-second play clock to be active. So we have 40 and we have what?
25.
Right? We have 40 and 25. So we're going to go over the reasons why one of those clocks is going to need to be in participation. We're going to go through 40, and then I'm just going to ask you guys some reasons why we might go 25, okay? So 40, when an official signals the ball is dead. What's the dead ball signal? Just during a normal play. That's one. That's one. Yeah. A couple others. Yeah, we got incomplete. We got a touchdown. We got a safety. So if the 40-second clock does not start on the count, or the count is interrupted, I'm sorry, beyond the control of the official, the referee shall stop the game and then give a pumping motion. What does that look like? Yeah, we're raising the roof. Okay. And at that point, if the play clock was stopped, that means the play clock should also start. Now, a lot of times the white hat will give this and wind it as well just to make sure it gets started. But that's the signal. What's the signal for 25 if you need to reset? Yeah, just one, right? It's easy math, right? So in the event that the 40-second clock's running, but the ball's not set when it gets down to 25, official can bump it up to 25. That doesn't happen often, but if you need to, I mean, I was looking at our film, we normally have the ball set by 33, 34-ish. I mean,
Usually it's a unique situation when we do that, and you don't want to give a cheap delay game. That just slows the game down. So you're under 25, get down around 20, go ahead and pump it up, and let's keep it moving.
yeah, and like you said, there's some situations, you know, you have a big mess out of bounds where there's all sorts of players intermingled from different teams. You're cleaning that up and getting the ball back in and just trying to dead ball officiate and then make sure. That's a rare situation where you're going to have to bump it up, but it does happen. So, you know, if you don't have that ball set and clock's down below 25, just bump it up and make sure you give them a fair shot there. So 25-second clock. Can you guys give me some reasons why we set to 25 instead of 40? Some scenarios? Anybody?
Start of the first down, change of possession.
Sometimes.
The helmet comes off on the offense.
Helmet comes off on the offense. That's one.
After
Their timeout's one.
Game administration.
Any sort of game administration, any sort of official stoppage. We're going to go to 25. Measurement is one. Yeah. So I'm just going to go ahead and just throw them all out here and we'll look at them all. So you guys got a few of them, right? Penalty administration, charge timeout, media timeout, injury timeout for a player of the offensive team only. Okay. Play clock goes to 40 for defensive team. That way you don't get guy getting shot by a sniper as he's running off the field and trying to, you know, save some time. Measurement, we got that one, right? Team B is awarded a first down. So somebody said change of possession. So not on every change of possession, but on a turnover, yes. And then after a kick other than a free kick or a score other than a touchdown or a try.
Explain the one after free kick. Explain that one.
A score other than a touchdown or a try?
No, after free kick. Number 7.
Oh, after a kick down other than a free kick. So on a free kick, this was something that was changed a couple years ago. So is what we had a lot of was you kick off, team gets the ball, they're down, okay, we stop the clock, they got the 20 whatever yard line, and they're getting ready for their new set of downs, right? Offense is standing on the sideline, and they're standing on the sideline basically taking an unauthorized timeout, just waiting and talking to the coach, and coach is coaching them up. And I mean, we got to get the game moving, right? But they're just sitting over there, and we're sitting there tweeting our whistles. And anyway, so instead of having to worry about that and trying to get them on the field and winding the clock without them, whenever that kick is, whenever the ensuing run after the kick is ended. So Team B, receiving team possesses the ball, runs, we kill it for the end of the play, 40 seconds starts. And now they've got to get out there and get playing. We're not going to wait around and they can't do their little taking 2 minutes to talk about their next series of downs. We're going to get it back rolling. And, you know, it's time to play ball. So that was a welcome change for us. We don't have to do as much babysitting and maintenance of sideline. That it gets started and we start rolling. Paul,
Where this will frustrate you is the sub-varsity games because they don't have a play clock operator. So trying to get these kids in and out of after the punts or even like touchdowns is the nightmare. And if you have those 4-bangers, we call them every like a 2-banger, 3-banger, 4-banger last 4 games. You got a 4-banger and you don't really get those kids on the field. You're gonna be there till like 11:30. So just know that you don't have that wonderful thing that happens on varsity games on sub-varsity.
yeah, and he is right about that. One of the things though with some of these, and this goes into timing, with some of these sub-varsity games that I've done anyways, a lot of times they don't even have a visible clock. So you're keeping it here, or sometimes they'll hand you a little scoreboard clicker. So, you know, if they bleed out their time, I'll maybe, you know, cut a minute or 2 out of there. Just depends on where the sun's at in the sky, really. It depends on where the sun is in the sky, and you know, if we're trying to get these games squeezed in. But you know, honestly, when you go do some of these like 7th, 8th grade games, if they have a ball that's inflated, you're in good shape. All right, so just feel happy for that, because I showed up when it's not been. Also, start of each period, 25 seconds. This is a continuation, by the way. Start of a team's possession series in an extra period. Instant replay review, which shouldn't have any of those this year. Or an other administrative stoppage. This is another one that's important. Offensive team player's helmet comes completely off through the play. Play clock is set to 40 if the player is on the defensive team. If the player is on the offensive team, it is set to 25 seconds. So this is an interesting one, right? So minimum time for a spike. How many seconds would you guys guess without reading all this first? You have 3? Yeah, it's 3. So ball snap, let's say the clock's dead, or it's running and it's at 4 seconds, snap goes off, he's at 3 seconds, he can get a spike off. If he snaps the ball with under 3 seconds left,
Just to clarify,
he's got to play.
like on this, it's very important that we see when it will start on the referee's signal. Why is that important? That little piece right there, because if the clock is just running and he snaps it at 3 or 2, and it had been running all the way up to it, and they're running up the line, he gets it, he snaps it, bounces it down. They stop it or we stop it. It doesn't matter what the minimum was when it started. What this is talking about is when we had a clock stoppage for a first down to reset the change, and the teams are running up, and when it says starting the referee signal, that means we're winding the clock, right? Everybody with me so far?
Yeah.
So if it says 3 seconds, 2 seconds, 1 second, when I wind, that's the end of the game. They can't spike it at that point. They have to run a play, right? Does that make sense? It's in that situation when the referee is actually starting the clock, in that situation when this rule applies.
And it's quarter, not necessarily the game, it's quarter.
Correct.
So we'll talk now about starting on the snap versus starting on the ready. So here we're going to talk about starting on the snap. So after a touchback, team A ball carrier, fumble, or backwards pass is ruled out of bounds, which we've touched on a little bit here in this class. Team B is awarded a first down on the next snap. That would mean what? We had a fumble recovery, an interception, scrimmage kick that resulted in Team B new set of downs.
And to clarify here, we're talking game clock now, not play clock, right? We're now on the game clock.
Also starting on the snap after a forward pass is ruled incomplete. A team is granted a charge timeout. The ball becomes illegal, or a period ends. Illegal kick down ends. So what would be a legal kick? Let's say legal scrimmage kick. Past the neutral zone, right? So there's situations where a kick may not go past the neutral zone, then is advanced by the original kicking team, Team A, and that may not result in a stoppage at all. We may just keep on playing other than a brief stoppage to move the chains. So
We will. If there's a kick on the play, we will always go to the snap. If there's a kick on the play, whether or not it had it crosses the neutral zone, we will always go to the snap.
a return kick is made or a scrimmage kick is made beyond the neutral zone. We all know that's illegal, right? We've covered that at least a couple times. Team A commits a delay of game foul while in scrimmage kick formation. Unfortunately, I've seen it a few times. I've seen it to end a few games. So on the referee signal is important here. You just need to know as an official how to keep your game administrated properly, to keep it moving, but also have yourself mentally prepared for things to get started. So Team A is awarded a first down, either by play or through penalty. So guy, 3rd and 3, runs for 4 yards. We come up, we kill it, right? We kill it. We've got a first down. Chains are moving. That referee's going to start winding that thing. Chains don't have to be set. Sorry, I'm blind. Chains don't have to be set. He's going to go ahead and wind it. We got a first down. We're moving on. That thing's going to start. Okay, so don't delay that. Okay, if you're working or whatever, we've got a first down. They're getting the ball set, even if it's not set yet. If they're getting it set, you can go ahead and wind it, and we're going on. Team A forward fumble goes out of bounds. So it's different than going backwards out of bounds, right? So we covered that. Backwards out of bounds is going to be a different situation. To complete a penalty, so on this one of the other important ones that Mike covered a minute ago that I wanted to get into, some of these are pretty self-explanatory, but an inadvertent whistle is sounded. So if we had a running clock and we were in the live play, there's an inadvertent whistle, we will go back to basically the live clock running. So if we have an issue where we had a live clock, now this will be important for you guys as you start to develop into your different roles. Now, a lot of times if you're working like a 3-man or a 4-man mechanics, the line judge is going to be the one who's kind of more responsible for the clock. In 5-man mechanics, it's back judge. 7-man, it's kind of all 3 deep share the responsibility to an extent. But you're always going to want to know the clock status, right? It's very important. I had a guy early on whenever I was working back judge and 5-man mechanics tell me, like, stop looking over your shoulder at the clock to check the status. I don't believe in that. I believe that no matter what it looks like on film, knowing the status is better than not knowing it. So if you have to peek over your shoulder to check the clock status to save your crew, absolutely do it. Everybody on the crew has different responsibilities, but whatever you can do to bring as much possible to your team as you can, absolutely do it. And it just always makes me feel a little bit more comfortable knowing that I know exactly what that status is, where it's at, and maybe be able to bail us out if we get into a bind. So a possible first down measurement is one. So let's say we're, clock's running, we kill it, maybe we have a first down, maybe we don't, we're going out to measure. If we stop the clock for that, whether or not we get the first down is likely irrelevant unless the play ended out of bounds. But we're going to go ahead and go back to the original status of the clock and wind that back in whenever we determine whether we got it or not. A live ball comes into possession of an official. You ever heard that one?
Yeah, I jumped up and got an interception one time, and they threw the whistle on me. I was running my touchdown in, but it's cool.
I've seen him tackle a quarterback in a college game one time.
Yeah,
I've seen him try to kick a punt.
one time it happened. One time.
He had a concussion, by the way. I had to drive home.
I tackled him with my forehead.
The coach came into the locker room afterwards and said, "You okay?" And he's like, "Yeah, I'm good." And he said, "Remind me next time you're here, I'll get you a helmet sticker."
I don't remember that.
Well, you didn't. He didn't remember much from that afternoon, evening drive home. I'm pretty sure we talked to every person in his family on the phone on the way home, and I had to listen to A&M on the radio, which was awful. Also, a head coach requests a conference or challenges an instant replay decision. Again, coach wants a conference, take a timeout because I'm not coming over. Sorry. And that's another thing when it comes to talking coaches. You answer questions. That's fine. Don't respond to statements. So the referee declares a discretionary timeout, or the referee declares a timeout for unfair noise.
So what's a discretionary timeout? All right, what are some examples of a discretionary timeout? An injured player, right? An injured official, a change broke, what happens? Administrative type stuff, right? Whatever it might be, that's what a discretionary.
There will be the occasional officials timeout for water if we're in extreme heat. I've seen that. So clock issue, yeah, it's administrative, right? So you can come back to a wind. 10-second runoff. Not going to open a can of worms that big tonight.
Yeah, we'll get that in the Rule 10.
Yeah, we're going to dive into that deeper when we have probably an entire hour and a half. Not just for 10-second runoff, but in general for enforcement and things like that.
So before we leave, this timing, I get asked this question every year. What we saw here was incorporated our UIL exceptions for timing. When you read your rule book, you're going to see the NCAA's rules for timing. The simplest way to understand it for high school is go to that section that says under 2 minutes. Timing changes in NCAA, it changes under 2 minutes. We're doing that entire game, that under 2 minute timing in high school. Does that make sense, guys? We're not doing the 3-4-3 where they have the option. We're not doing that part of it. But we're doing that, it goes out of bounds, it's dead until the next snap. Versus NCAA, it goes out of bounds as soon as that ball's set or winding the clock. So remember, when you're reading your rule book, you might not have that UIL exception sitting there right next to it. Remember, when you look at it, we as high school officials are looking at that under 2 minute section always, what those changes are for when we're doing our timing. Does that make sense, guys?
So our all game timing is under 2 minutes for NCAA.
And you saw there on Arbiter, that list, there was a link to the UIL exceptions. I think I sent that to you early on, but just, if you haven't seen it, grab that and take a look at it. It's about a 10 or 12 page read.
Every year I get a question that says, well, I was watching this game and they started it back up after it went out of bounds. But yeah, that's NCAA timing. So there's that change that we have. And honestly, I think that's going to eventually
Work itself in our game.
I think it's going to work itself in our game, like Mike said. We'll have to understand those differences. But for now, out of bounds, clock stop. Right? We're not going to be winding that back.
All right, so on this slide, again, not to insult anyone's intelligence, we are going to go through it. However, it's pretty simple. We're doing when to award a series. So a series of up to 4 consecutive scrimmage downs will be awarded to the team that is next to put the ball in play after a free kick, touchback, fair catch, or change in team possession, or the offensive team in overtime, right? Everybody knows 4 downs in football. New series, what do they have to do? We have to cross the line to gain within 4 downs. They'll be awarded a new series. For Team B, they're awarded a new series after what? They're able to turn over on downs or some sort of other turnover. Also, a Team B is awarded a new set of downs if a Team A scrimmage kick lays untouched by anyone and nobody attempts to possess it. It's going to Team B. A new series shall be awarded to the team in legal possession when the ball is declared dead if a change in team possession occurs during the down, scrimmage kick crosses the neutral zone, except for when the down is repeated. If an accepted penalty awards the ball to the offended team, if an accepted penalty mandates a first down, or a new series shall be awarded to Team B whenever Team B, after a scrimmage kick, elects to take the ball at a spot of illegal touching.
So, like before you leave off that letter A right there, if a change of team possession occurs during the down, does not mean only Team B is next to put the ball in play. There can be, if Team B comes into possession of the ball at all, and then they fumble it again, and then A picks it back up, doesn't matter where they picked it back up at. It can have been 15 yards from that line of game. They are then awarded a new first down because a change of team possession changed in that period, right? That makes sense? So an ABA situation will still have a new series. ABA situation also quite likely is going to result in a 40-second play clock still, right? This Team A is still next to put the ball in play. So just remember those little items when you're going through the rule book.
So again, pretty simple stuff. Line to gain for a series shall be established 10 yards in advance of the most forward point of the ball. If this line is in the opponent's end zone, the goal line becomes the line of gain. Line of gain is established when the ball is made ready for play before the first down of the new series. And that's it for timing, subs, and
All right. Good deal.
I had to blow through that.
Questions?
Any questions, guys? Yes, sir. Patio, penalty accepted. A try, meaning we're going to extend it for one play after the score, right? Inadvertent whistle. Offsetting foul. Right? So unless, and the only exception to that is the loss of down that we talked about, right? So any of those happen, we're going to extend the period. Patio.
I said I never heard it either.
I did not make that up. I stole that from somebody else.
Well, I mean, most everything's going to be still. That's just official in general.
Ready to stop here?
What do you want to do?
Yeah, I think we're done for that. Anybody got any questions? I don't see any questions online. Same time next week, right? Until we hear something different.